So it was almost a year ago that the school shooting happened in Parkland, Florida. At that time, I made a video making some suggestions, recommendations, giving my thoughts and my ideas about how something like that could be deterred in the future. And now today, around the time that I'm posting this video, we see that the committee who were given sort of the job of writing a report on that shooting and making recommendations to deter future shootings, the 15-member committee that was put together for that has made some of the same recommendations that I made almost a year ago. And once again, teachers, if you're allowed in your state to conceal carry in your school, please do it. Please do it. And get the training if you don't have it. Get the range time in if you haven't done so. Please be prepared to look out for our kids. Here's what was said in the report that was published. They talked about more than just one idea, but in the report, sort of the main thing that's catching the headlines today is the recommendation that school teachers who are trained and who wish to be allowed to carry firearms concealed in their classrooms. That is one of the main things I talked about in my video. Now, I made a couple other recommendations as far as, things that the NRA has said in the past about veterans, retired cops, things like that, patrolling and basically being there on duty as a volunteer to look out for these schools, to protect these schools. That was one of my recommendations. The other one was, if you're a teacher and you can legally concealed carry and you're ready to and you're willing to, please do it. The committee that posted this report on Parkland has said the exact same thing. Teachers, get trained, and if you're willing and if you're able, carry concealed in the classroom. This makes so much sense. Now, at this point, it doesn't mean that this is going to happen. All this means is that the Florida legislature can look at that recommendation and draft laws based on it, and those laws would have to be signed by the governor before these measures take effect. So it's quite possible that none of this will ever come to reality. I hope it does. I hope it does, because I think these truly are measures that could deter another school shooting from occurring, particularly in that area, but nationwide, really. So why is that my opinion, and why does this board of these 15-member board, why do they feel like this is a measure that would deter mass shooters? Well, I skimmed through some of their report, and some of the language they use, some of the thoughts that I was able to glean from that are basically everything that I had said before, that there are measures we can take to sort of deter and measures we can take to prevent, really. But once something kicks off, all you can do at that point is mitigate the damage, try to lessen it. That's all you can do. All the preventative measures you take prior to the incident, those are all, they may or may not work, but once the incident is occurring, the time for prevention is over, and now all you can do is try to mitigate the damage. I'm going to liken this to a house that's on fire with, let's say, people in it. All the prevention that family took to keep the fire from happening, that time is over. Now it's mitigate the damage, and now the fire department is on its way, and it's trying to get that fire put out or under control or keep it from getting worse. That's basically the goal, right? To try to mitigate the damage. The fire is already there. You're just trying to save the lives and try to lessen the damage if possible. To take this a little further back, imagine that you are there when the fire first starts. Let's say you are in the building as the fire kicks off, and you see a fire extinguisher on the wall, and you remember 6 months ago I got fire extinguisher trained. I know how to work that thing. You can stop the fire right then and there before anybody gets hurt, and while the damage is very, very minimal. All right? And that is a perfect analogy for the idea of a teacher being trained with a firearm and being legally allowed to conceal carry in the classroom. I know how to use a fire extinguisher, and there it is right next to me. I've got a firearm, and here it is on my hip. Same exact thing. One is the fire, one is a mass shooter. So, one's intelligent, one isn't. But the point is, they are both threats that are about to cost many, many lives, and they can be slowed or mitigated or stopped by someone with the right training who is in the right place. With the right training and the right tools, who is in the right place. A fire extinguisher is generally understood to be one of the best ways of putting out a fire in an enclosed place, right? So, and the best way to stop a mass shooter is to shoot back. So somebody's got to be there to shoot back as quickly as possible. And when it comes to a school, what are schools full of? Students and teachers. You're not going to put guns in the hands of students, obviously. So allow the teachers to conceal carry, and they would be the first people there ready to stop that mass shooter and save lives. It's much like the analogy I made in my original video. It's like first aid. It's knowing first aid. It's being there as the actual true first responder, willing, able, and prepared to mitigate the damage. That's all there is to it. So I applaud this committee who put out this report. It makes a ton of sense. I appreciate them recognizing that logic. And at this point, all I can do is encourage the PTA, which at this point I understand opposes this report. And also I encourage the teachers union, which I understand also opposes this report. I encourage them to get on board with what this report says. Recognize the logic in it. Recognize that this is the way to mitigate damage and to save lives. And if the PTA and the teachers union don't get on board, I would ask the Florida legislature and the governor of Florida to overlook them. Do not listen to the PTA or the teachers union. Go ahead and pass this, make this law anyway, because lives are at stake here. And you should be worried about saving those lives, not about getting more votes. I'm the Late Boy Scout. Thanks for watching. See you later.